You're listening to Between Us, a space made for women with big ambition and busy lives to match.
It's for brilliant, capable women holding everything together and secretly wondering if they're the only ones facing these challenges and asking themselves these questions.
We're Jen and Alexis, co-founders of Her Tribe, and each episode, we're bringing you the questions that keep coming up in our coaching or training rooms.
Or sometimes just in the WhatsApp group chat.
But we're not here to fix.
We're here to get curious.
Let's get to it then.
Okay, Lex, what is our question this episode?
Our question for today is, why do we feel guilty all the time?
I'm going to bow out. I think this is too long. It's too long to even begin. What type of guilt to start with?
Well, what kind of guilt do we feel?
So I think a major one for me in current life stage is mum guilt.
Okay.
Which is, I think, constant. Ambition guilt, wanting too much guilt. Why do I want this guilt? Why am I not doing enough guilt? Why am I not working hard enough guilt?
See, some of those are really big guilts, aren't there? But there can
Yeah.
also be little guilts. Like I had a guilt of, why didn't I make my son sandwiches last week? Nearly 19.
Yeah, I was going to say your 20-year-old son.
And then he didn't eat any lunch because he hadn't made sandwiches, and so that made me a terrible mother. I suppose that's mum guilt.
Mum guilt, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess what I'm saying is it doesn't even need to be some big, massive guilt, does it? It could just be,
No.
I don't find my mum enough.
But yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I get a passive aggressive text message from her. Sorry if you're listening, Mum. Are you okay, darling? I haven't heard from you all week. And I'm like, oh God, that's really bad. I really should call my mum a bit more often.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all the things we tell ourselves that we should do that we then don't do and we then feel guilty about, or we shouldn't do.
Yeah, I think the shoulds are a massive thing because, and I think also, especially when you are in a position of owning your own business or being in a kind of senior leader role, there is literally always more that you could do.
So why do you think we allow ourselves to feel guilty?
Do we allow ourselves? I don't think it's as conscious as that.
Okay.
I don't think it's not a decision, is it? I don't think we would choose to ever feel that way, but I think it's something that we can automatically slip into. I think it's something we can automatically slip into, and actually being out of it is the conscious decision.
Yeah, as in recognising that you feel guilty and then choosing to feel something different instead.
I think so, yeah, because it is an automatic thing, right? Every time you go on social media, be that Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever it is, you have that instant thing of comparison of, your algorithm knows exactly who you are, whether you choose for it to or not. And so it will show you different social media hooks that you can use for your marketing and 10 things that I did this year. And you look through that list and you think, oh, I've not done any of them. Or you'll scroll down a bit more and then you'll see, oh, the 5 exercises I do to look the way I do. And you think, can't remember the last time I did any of those. Then you scroll down a little bit more and you'll see, oh, these are all of the Easter activities you could do, or this is how you could make your kids' rice look like a bunny for Easter. Whatever it is. I've seen it.
I was going to say, I'm looking out for the rice bunnies.
It's the stencil, everybody. And so I think there is just always something, and this isn't a social media bash because I love social media. I think it can be brilliant to connect, but I think it is also a massive area of where the guilt can just fester from.
So do you think women feel guilt differently than men? Without wanting to generalise, because I don't want to generalise, but I just think it's interesting, isn't it? I wonder whether men would sit, if they were listening to this, would they think, oh yeah, I resonate with that one? They think, well,
I think so. I think there's perhaps women do feel guilt more frequently about more niche things like a rice bunny, but I think it would be unfair to say that there isn't an element of guilt. I think it's maybe about different topics.
I think women are more emotionally connected to the guilt.
Yeah.
That's what I think. So I think that women might feel the guilt and then make it mean something
assign meaning to it.
Yeah, make it mean something that they then kind of berate themselves or beat themselves up with, rather than acknowledging it. And I don't know what men would do with that. I can't relate, but I think that also because of the juggle of being a professional woman and the
Yeah.
amount of things that you're then there's almost more things that you can feel guilty about.
Well,
Do you know what I mean? It's like the list
absolutely.
is longer,
Yeah.
quite frankly.
Yeah. So how do you then, when you have coaching clients that talk to you about guilt, do they name it as guilt, or is that something that you tend to pick out?
Almost never name it as guilt. And it's really interesting. So last week, I haven't told you this. That's going to be a theme, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I did a CPD. Did I tell you that I did a CPD last week called Getting to the Root?
No.
Okay, so it was basically all about how do you get to the root of what's really going on when someone shows up at coaching.
Okay.
And so often people show up in a coaching session and present with a challenge, something that's going on in their lives that they want to unpack together or explore.
Yeah.
But it's almost never that's really sitting underneath the surface.
Yeah.
Normally there's something else going on that you need to get to the root of.
And funnily enough, that was going to be one of the podcast episodes, wasn't it? Underneath the surface.
Well, we can talk about that because, and now I've done a CPD, that's another thing. But so guilt often, I think I can't actually ever remember someone coming to a coaching session and say, Alexis, what I want to talk about today is why do I feel guilty all the time? They'll come and they'll say, I'm feeling overwhelmed, or I've got a lot going on, or I don't feel like I'm showing up at my best, or I need to have a conversation with someone at work that I'm not sure how to handle. And then through the conversation, we will uncover that there's some feelings of guilt that might be sitting underneath that.
And how do you do that? How do you pick that out as guilt? And are you the one that will question whether it's guilt, or does the coachee tend to say, actually, I feel guilty?
Yeah, I would never say what I think it is.
Yeah.
So I would ask questions that got them to a place where I would say, what is it that you think you're really feeling? Or what is it that's sitting underneath what you're explaining to me, and get them to realise that. But it's very difficult to just come into a conversation and think you already know what it is. Because you know this as well. If you think about the emotions wheel.
Yeah, I was just about to say that, the literacy.
People are not very emotionally literate. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way. People find it really difficult to express their emotions.
Yeah.
I was running a workshop a couple of weeks ago where I asked a simple question: how do you feel about this particular task? So it was a task that everybody was feeling a bit anxious about, for whatever reason. And so I said, okay, I want you to take a Post-it note and write down on a Post-it note how you feel about it. And honestly, they really struggled to come up with a word, because the emotional literacy about being able to identify the feeling, they knew the feeling.
Yeah.
It was there. So like with guilt,
know where it sits.
You know it's there and it's uncomfortable, but you can't articulate
For anybody that's only listening to this, I'm going to paint you a picture.
Oh yeah, I forgot that there's some...
Lex is currently sat there with her hand just kind of above her chest, doing a motion that is what? A jiggling spider or something with her hand.
It's like a bubbling.
A little bubble.
Bubble.
It suggests that horrible feeling of the guilt is what? Weighing, and it's a little bit bubbly is the kind of thing that she's doing with her hands.
Do you know where that comes from? It's really interesting that you fill it up. So I always see emotions as being like your body's like a bottle of fizzy pop. Right, or Prosecco. It's probably what I really want to say, right?
Yeah, I think so.
So if you imagine your body's like a bottle of Prosecco,
grown-up fizzy pop,
and you're in your neck. So sorry if you're only listening to, but imagine in your neck is the cork.
Yeah.
Right. So the cork is holding down the emotions and the feelings. Right. It doesn't allow them to come up. Right. And then what happens is it bubbles. This is probably why I was doing it. So it's like those feelings.
Yeah.
Bubble,
the hands are back,
bubble.
everyone. Now they look a little bit like a crab.
They bubble. So these feelings are like in there bubbling, and then what happens is they bubble and bubble and bubble, and they build pressure, and then what happens?
Yeah, it's going to burst, isn't it? It comes out
right.
somewhere.
So the cork just kind of like explodes, and then half the bottle of Prosecco goes all over the place, which really annoys you because she wants to drink it, and you probably respond in a way that you didn't really want to respond. So that's why I think emotion, I know it's a different topic, but it's being able to spot if you feel guilty, those feelings, so they're not just bubbling under the surface, that you can actually say out loud what it is you're really feeling is really important, so it doesn't just bubble away and then eventually build pressure to the point.
Yeah, that's a thing.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because they say, don't they, that emotion is energy, isn't it? It's different energy, and you feel that in different places in your body. So I've read before that intuition is something that you feel in your stomach.
That's people. That's why people call it a gut
Well, exactly,
instinct.
your gut feeling, yeah. So you're feeling that there, and then you can feel different kind of emotion in different places in your body, can't you? But I think it does start with that emotional literacy, because I think we're very good at saying whether a feeling is good or bad, labeling it as comfortable or uncomfortable. But then it's going beneath that, because so a phrase that I use in a lot of my mental health training is that you have to name it to tame it.
Yeah.
So it's only once you can name what the actual feeling is that you can even begin to tame it, that you can begin to do something.
So thinking about guilt then,
Yeah.
you listed off at the top of this conversation all the different types of guilt.
Yeah.
What do you think sits underneath that?
Guilt.
Yeah. Like if you take one of the guilt about, okay, so you talked about ambition guilt, which I think is a really interesting one for our group of listeners.
Yeah.
So what sits underneath that?
I think it's, as you identified before, it's the shoulds. What should you be doing, and what should you not be doing? And I think it's pressure. I think it's pressure that you put on yourself. It's pressure that not even necessarily that others put on you, but that you pull in. Like, we almost take this pressure, don't we? We see people doing things on LinkedIn or social media, or we see colleagues doing certain things. And it's funny because often the picture that we see isn't actually the reality anyway. We've both shared before. I'm happy to share that we've had times where people have come up to us at events and said, "Oh, you look so busy. You're doing so well. I see you everywhere." And actually, we might be, but in terms of actual business, maybe that's been a really quiet time for us. So we're often having that pressure and comparison from this picture that isn't necessarily actually reality. But from that picture that we see, we take on this pressure. So to me, I think guilt is different pressure and expectations.
But often, don't you think, is the pressure that we put on ourselves rather than...
Yeah.
So I think it could be pressure from other people, but I'm going to give you an example. Friday night, we ordered a takeaway, and I don't know what happened, Jen. Honestly, at 8 o'clock, I hit a wall. Like, I honestly felt like my body went into shutdown. It was the weirdest feeling. I was exhausted.
Yeah.
And I had said to Pete and Bella, my daughter, that we'd watch a movie together. And I literally, I didn't feel very well, and I had to take myself off to bed. And I said to Pete, "I'm so sorry, I've got to go to bed." I got into bed at 8:30, and I slept for 10 hours.
Wow.
Right? And I needed it. I woke up in the morning. First thing I thought is, "Oh, I feel really bad that we didn't watch that movie together last night."
Really?
Yeah. That's guilt, right?
Yeah.
I said that we were going to sit and watch a movie together.
And what was their reaction when you said you had to go to bed?
Oh, he came up to check on me. "Are you okay? You all right? Can I get you anything?" Obviously, care and concern.
Yeah.
So there was no guilt coming from him.
No,
it
so
was
that
all
pressure
what I
isn't
put
from
on
him.
myself.
Yeah.
There was no pressure from him at all. And then
Yeah.
as soon as we woke up in the morning, "Are you okay? Are you feeling better now?" He's very patient and lovely. My husband is much nicer than I am. So, there was no guilt or pressure coming from, "Oh, you said we were going to watch a movie together." No, it was all in my own head.
Yeah.
But I felt guilty that we'd said we were going to do something together. It was the end of the week. And, my daughter isn't often at home because she's out and about. And we were going to sit and have a movie night. So that pressure was something that I placed on myself. And then even the next day, even acknowledging, obviously, I just needed to sleep. I'd had a difficult week personally and, emotionally. And I just needed that time to just go to sleep. But obviously, for me to sleep for 10 hours, like unheard of. But then, I'm going to push this even further. The guilt went further because then I got up and went to the gym. And as I'm driving to the gym, I'm thinking, "Oh, but I'm okay to get up and go to the gym, but I wasn't okay to watch the movie last night." That made me really bad that I've prioritized myself because I've still got up and gone to the gym, but I went to bed last night instead of watching the movie with them. Can you see how it can spiral?
Absolutely. Oh, it does.
And that's a silly little example, but I think these are examples that probably all of us have all the time.
But you say silly little example, but I think it's those things that mount up. It's that micro guilt, I think, of all of your decisions. When you are someone that is naturally in a position where you're like considering other people, you do, don't you? You have those bits of micro guilt. So when this comes up in your coaching room, how do you tackle that? How do you tackle guilt? Because we know it's there. We all feel it. We can see it come up. We know it's silly. You just called it silly, a silly little example. So how do we battle it?
Well, I suppose the answer to that question is, what would I say to myself, or what would I say to somebody who was sitting in front of me? And so probably what I would say is, how would you like to feel instead?
Mm-hmm.
Or when you're in a rational and logical frame of mind, what would you say to yourself?
Yeah.
So that if you find yourself in that place, you've got something that you can say to yourself, a way of catching it. I think it's about recognizing it. So the fact, even now, I haven't said anything. I haven't told anybody what happened on Friday night. I didn't even say to Pete I felt guilty. It's only really genuinely because we're having this conversation. Yeah. So number one, I think, say it out loud, that that's how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Acknowledge it.
Yeah.
And then explore it if you want to, or just sit with that acknowledgement. And then number two, decide what you want to do with that. So now I've said it out loud, this is how I feel. Yeah. What do I want to do with that? And then next time I potentially feel that way, am I going to acknowledge it in a different way or more quickly, and then have some kind of way of dealing with it, so you don't allow these to just spiral and build up over time. But I think, to be honest, the most important thing, Jen, you and I both know this from our work, is being able to actually say out loud what's really going on for you.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's saying out loud and building that emotional literacy, isn't it?
And
I think that's core.
Finding someone that you can say it to.
Yeah.
Because this is also, there might be some women listening to this and say, well, that's all well and good, Lex, but actually, who do I say it to? So it's about finding your people around you where you could say it, or even if not, write it down somewhere. So even if you're just saying it to yourself.
Yeah, even just like, I think that's the thing. The notes app in your phone is like core, isn't it? You can just write these things. You can have a guilt list. You can make it private and just list those things so that you're actually aware of it. And the more you can see it spelled out or said out loud, the more that you can get a bit of a reality check on it as well. Sometimes I think it's that bit of perspective.
Yeah. So as I was saying that to you in terms of some of the things to kind of do, what's coming up for you right now?
I'm going to do the notes app.
Are you?
Yeah, I am, because guilt is a massive, massive thing. I feel often so pulled in different directions, but I know the reality. I'm doing my absolute bloody best all the time. You know, I'm always trying.
How does it feel to say that?
Good, I think.
You think?
I'm comfortable. That's another episode, isn't it?
But even just, you just said that, you're doing your best all the time.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. But do we ever actually sit and acknowledge that? No.
Because we let the guilt creep in.
The guilt, or not wanting to toot our own horn.
Oh, that's the next one we should record.
Okay, fine. Come back for why do we not toot our own horn?
Come back for that one. All right. Any kind of closing thoughts? Not wanting to be Jerry Springer or anything, but, you know, final thought of the day, because that's not how we want to end it.
I'm too young for that, I'm afraid.
Are you?
Yeah, sorry. Let's end it there.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully I'm going to chase up with you about those notes.
Fine. See you next episode.
Bye.
You've been listening to Between Us, brought to you by Jen and Alexis, founders of Her Tribe, a community for capable women who know the juggle is real and don't want to do it alone.
If something in this conversation's resonated, follow or subscribe so you don't miss the next one, or send it to a friend who might like to listen.
And if you've got a question you'd love us to explore, send it in to hello@hertribe.co.uk.
Until next time,
this was Between Us.